One of this. Yeah, and one nowadays. Unless there's somewhere else. I think they'd expect to
Sometimes I'm nice, not all the time.
Well, you taking two? Four?
No, I just can't get it down.
The last one. I took the last one, something gave you a G, I took the last one. I need more. Didn't think many people would come.
We know about it, we know this.
You only had a flyer of all the libraries and the services?
Yes, sir.
Anybody have one?
I sent her an email, I think.
Unfortunately, Mississippi doesn't work. We have so many restrictions now to do that. Before I can request your get these. I don't even. They're there.
You're gonna buy 2 bikes?
All right, can everyone hear me?
Introduce you folks first. Welcome to the second of the last of the season's academies. We have one more in 2 weeks or 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Okay, got it. And the last one, of course, we all have heard about the Mulberry migrant community and the young woman that came here about 1st of April and told us her story. Next, I'm giving you a preview. Next time, the 17th June, Danny Higgins, the principal of the Mulberry Community Charter School, is coming to talk with us about all the many wonderful things that are happening in that school and the community itself. And also the reason why you have collection bins for folks there that are in food insecure situations. Keep that food coming. And also with the bid house, we may be moving some furniture and some carpets to that community. So keep it coming. Thank you. So today we have the Lakeland Public Libraries. And we have Jackson Hager and Stephanie Brown to present us. And so we're engaged in some technology kerfuffles, but they have voices. They're live people. They can explain things rationally. And I think we live in a generation where that used to be done. And we can go back to the good old days and just sort of listen, and then we can Q&A with each other as we go along. So here we are, Jackson. And
All right. Stephanie. All right, can everyone hear me, or do I need to hold this up? Everyone can hear me? All right. I talk loud? Okay. So I am Jackson Hager. I go by Jack. I am the supervisor in charge of the library on the north side of town, across from Watson Clinic and the hospital. It's called the Larry Jackson Branch Library. This is Stephanie Brown. She is the assistant city librarian. She is stationed out of the library just up the road, the main library. You all might be familiar. There are 3 libraries in the city. There's one in Kelly Recreation Complex, which is down by Walmart on the south side of town. There is the main library that Stephanie works at Lake Morton. And then there is and then there's the one on the north side that I work at. Our presentation is going to focus on kind of the services and different things you can do at the main library downtown, as well as what you can do on your tablets, computers, so that way you don't even have to leave home. So at the main library, just like you'd expect, you can check out books, movies, DVDs, TV shows, audiobooks, all of that kind of thing if you want to go down there. They have one of the biggest collections in the county, public library-wise, of different materials. They have large print books, they have romance, mystery, general fiction, science fiction, all of those kinds of things you can imagine. And then services-wise, they have a few different things there. We have technology classes that cover computer basics, Microsoft programs such as Word and Excel, PowerPoint. If you're just interested in learning about them, kind of working on the computer a little bit, all supplies are provided with those. So we have all the laptops set up, an instructor kind of walks you through in a small scale. I think it's 6 people at maximum right now per session. So that way it can kind of be more intimate in the instruction, essentially. We offer down there as well, we offer one-on-one tutoring sessions. So if, for example, you need particular help with something on your computer, tablet, device, phone, all you have to do is call ahead and they'll help walk you through that. There's no charges for any of that. It lasts about 1 hour, and it's just pending availability, so they're booked in advance. Technology-wise, what else am I missing? We, of course, have public printing, copying, computers, all of that stuff, if you're ever in need of that. But we also have more on the, I guess I'd say, fun side of things, craft classes. We have a monthly craft class down there called Crafty Creations. How many people can be in that at a time? So 10 people can sign up. It's toward the end of the month, every month. All supplies, once again, provided. You just sign up in advance, and then the instructor walks you through how to do different, essentially, craft things. So whether it's learning the skill or just doing it to make the craft, we have that as an option in person. And we also have what we call take and make crafts, where we supply everything in a little bag that you'd need, and we give you all the instructions, and all you have to do is sign up. And then we have all of that ready, and then we let you know when they're ready for pickup. What else am I missing for that? Craft stuff. Sometimes, yes, sometimes from time to time, Stephanie offers sewing classes. Generally, they're geared for children, but she has done adult before. So we have their 10 machines. We have 12 sewing machines, and she supplies all of the fabric, the thread, the whatever else you may need, the zippers, anything like that, and walks through the basics of sewing. Do you have anything you want to add to that? Oh. Okay. All right, well, we'll keep moving on then. Something else we have down there that's new, I don't know if everyone's been to the main library before. When I say main library, I mean the one just up the road, the downtown one, is the Lakeland History and Culture Center. It just opened in 2022, 2021, and it has an exhibit right now called The Ties That Bind, and it's about the origins of Lakeland and how railroads impacted essentially the development. So it's very museum-esque, that just has different displays and walks you through the different early parts of Lakeland. We have a staff back there that can explain and show a bunch of different stuff with it, talk you through anything you might have questions about. They also do different presentations about genealogy, using different ancestry websites, so like Ancestry.com, local history. She has, Luann is her name, the person in charge of that. She has different speakers about local history. Some of her topics, what was some of her recent ones?
She had the PLC brothers that served in World War II. My mic will not stay turned on. Is there a handheld one I can use instead?
We've had her for at least two
It's not on.
Yeah, it won't stay on.
Oh, you've had Luann here?
Twice. Yeah. She's
Okay.
done Ruth Elder, who was an aviatrix that flew out of Lakeland. She did a presentation on her, and she spoke at the week.
Yeah, this is on.
Yeah, it doesn't want to stay on. Have it on and then it will get off. Okay, so I'll use this mic. Luann has spoken, I believe she's come here a couple of times as well. But she also has guest speakers who come in, and we host those events. It's called Lakeland History Room, Lakeland History and Culture Series, Speaker Series. And they've come in and talked about the history of sports in Lakeland and how citrus baseball influenced the development of Lakeland and the sports fields that are here. Particular interest to aviation and having people who have the military connections to Lakeland Linder talk about the development of the airfield into the airport, progressing like that. So she has a lot of kind of ongoing events that she'll host there, and then some topics that she can come out and speak about too.
In the library, in the History Center, there's also been an exhibit on the Buffalo Soldiers and how they were bivouacked here before they went off to the Spanish-American War. They were in Lake Wire. We've had one of the reenactors come here a little over a year ago. So that's part of the history.
Part of the current exhibit, The Ties That Bind, they actually have one of the Buffalo Soldiers' saddles that's on display that you can see that the local reenactment group, or the Central Florida one, has lent to us for now to be part of that.
The other big piece of note there is they do have a small book sale up front with the Friends of the Library. Most items are, a quarter, 50 cents, $1, and all of those proceeds go to help funding different programming that the library offers. So for example, Stephanie's sewing classes might benefit from some of that funding because you have to, buy the fabric and all of that. So Friends of the Library right up front as well. We are a member of the Polk County Library Cooperative, which is all of the public libraries in the county work together to be able to send their items out to other libraries. So for example, if we don't have something here in Lakeland, but Lake Wales has it, we can get it sent in from Lake Wales at no charge. We have a transit system that runs every workday, so Monday through Friday. That we send stuff out to other libraries, they send them in, and it generally just takes a few days with that. We also offer, if you're not interested in going in person, a books by mail program. So what we can do is we can sign you up for library cards, which we plan to do at the end of the session if anyone's interested, or we can look up to see if you have an account, and we can mail the different items out to you that you might be interested in. So if you have particular authors you like, or large print, or whatever it may be, we can mail those directly here with your name and address, and then you don't even have to come in to pick them up. Through Lake Wales, there is the potential for a return service if you're not able to leave here to return them. That just has to be set up through them, and we're more than happy to try to show how that would work. They provide the return postage and send it in at no charge as well. So what we're hoping to do, I think everyone got one of our little flyers that we had up here, or did anyone not? Okay. So the front side has our 3 libraries in the city, our contact information, where we are. All right, it has our contact information, where we are, and our hours. The back side is what we are hoping we'll be able to present to you guys on the screen in just a few minutes. It has the different stuff you could do online from home. So if you look on the back, we have a few different services we subscribe to. We have a music one where you can stream and download songs, but the ones we were more going to focus on were the ones with books and audiobooks. So we have one called Hoopla and another one called Libby. They have two separate collections on them, and they both work a little bit different. So for example, if you look at our handout, on Hoopla, you can check out 12 ebooks, audiobooks, and movies instantly per month, but it's not a rolling checkout. So once you use one, that's gone for the month, and you just have to wait till the new month for it to reset to 12. Libby, for example, though, you can have 10 items at once, and once you return one, you can check something out in its place. We have down toward the bottom about newspapers and magazines. So I don't know if it's of interest to anyone, but the Ledger, for example, you can read the whole newspaper just like you normally would, same day, at no charge with your library card through the America's News resource that we have. And that's something that we'll hopefully be able to show you as well. So it's basically comes up as just a picture of the newspaper, and you can flip through it like you normally would. And then we also have access to New York Times, as well as some magazines through Hoopla and Flipster. So the e-library used to be down by the Publix. That location closed, and we moved it into the Kelly Rec. That location closed September of last year, I believe. They did not renew the lease. So then we moved it in to be with Kelly Rec. That way we could still have the 3 libraries. So the Kelly Rec one, that's where we moved the e-library to. Yeah, that way we could still have 3 in the city. Okay, well, while Stephanie's looking at that, what kind of questions would anyone have about some of the services we have? Yes?
You mentioned the Microsoft software. Do you do anything with Apple?
We do not have anything regular with Apple. If there's particular questions, we can try to schedule one-on-one tutoring. A lot of the staff does not have a ton of experience with Apple, so that's why we mostly do Microsoft. But a lot of the time, the one-on-one tutoring people are more than happy to try to work through whatever issue, if it's an issue or if it's trying to learn something. Yes?
I have difficulty finding the U.S. National Women's Soccer League and a soccer team, and also the men's soccer team. Can you help with that?
Like finding scores and information about them, or?
I'd like to see the game, but I can get scores.
That we don't have a resource for streaming necessarily live things. Anyone would be able to help you try to maybe look online to see if it is live streamed somewhere, but that wouldn't necessarily be a resource that we'd have offhand.
You said you have help on teaching you how to use your cell phones and stuff. Do you call the phone number, and to make sure that somebody's there to help you?
Yeah, so you call the number and they'll schedule you a one-on-one session. If it's something quick, like you're just trying to do something that's only going to take a minute or two, you're able to go in and do that. But if it's something that might take more than a couple minutes, they would just need you to schedule in advance. That way we can make sure we can dedicate the time to make sure you understand and everything. Yeah.
How extensive is your genealogy research?
You want to answer that one, Stephanie?
How extensive is the genealogy research you have, other than Ancestry? Is that all you've got?
So for resources, if you're within the library, you can use Ancestry at no charge, but we have an expert who Stephanie might be able to talk a little bit more about.
It depends on, a lot of our local genealogy is if you live in Polk County or have ancestry in Central Florida. They have a lot of physical resources and digitized versions of those available either through us or through the Polk County Historical Genealogical Library, which is in Bartow. If you're not, they have some for the Southeast, like there's some into Georgia, South Carolina. If you're not immediately from this area, most likely it would have to be someone like Cindy's List or Ancestry that we can kind of just trace digitally.
Yeah, it would depend upon where you're trying to look, because we do have, like Stephanie mentioned, we have a lot of city directories going way back, maps, photos, a lot of that. But otherwise, Luann Mims would be an expert on at least trying to guide you if it's kind of outside of this local area at good resources.
We're cleaning our bookshelves. Can we bring our books to you?
Yes, we accept donations. Any of the libraries can take them in, so whichever one, if you have a preferred library you like to go to, they'll all take donations. Most of the time they are sold with the Friends of the Library, so that does help fund our programming, so we always appreciate that.
When I retired, I gave away 2/3 of my library. I'm retired clergy, and boy, that was a relief. But I gave them over to Nancy, her last name. She's been a long-term volunteer with receiving books and organizing them. Okay, I'll get her last name. Anyway. Nancy Houle, thank you. I should know, she used to be a member of my church. And by the way, that's another thing I think you all can do, and tell us how we can volunteer at the library.
Yeah, so
Nancy is one of those, or was one of those that...
She still is. Yes, yeah, so we have, if it's of interest, volunteer opportunities and openings from time to time with the Friends of the Library book sale. A lot of the time what that would involve doing is processing what gets donated. So helping make sure it's in good condition, seeing where we would sell it, because we try to break them up by genre and type and age range. Which does take a lot of work on the back end. That way, when you're up there at the front trying to browse them, you can find what you're looking for. So a lot of that is kind of back of house, pricing, making sure everything looks good, that kind of thing. To do that, if you go to the main library and ask for a volunteer application, if they're accepting them at that point, they'll be able to give you one and then be in contact with you shortly after that to tell you about the openings.
From Philadelphia area, and I used Libby for years. But since I'm here now, do I have to re-register for Libby here? I mean, what?
So they would have a different collection than we have. So Libby is kind of based upon the area you're in, because each library can select certain books to buy. So the area you were in probably has a different selection than us. But also the area you were in, your card might eventually expire, so you might have to renew it with them if they allow that. So for example, the cards in Lakeland, they expire every 4 years, and we just have to re-up it essentially.
Same for Hoopla? Okay, because I couldn't even get Hoopla unless I was living in that library area.
Yeah, no.
Back in Philly, but here, it just, you can, well, I'm living here anyway, so it wouldn't matter, right?
Yeah, so you'd be able to use our Hoopla, which would maybe be different.
I have a library card with you guys, and I do Hoopla.
And I can get books when I'm in South Carolina at my daughter's house.
Yep, yeah, you can use it wherever as long as you're registered with us, yeah. Or if you're registered, like for example, in South Carolina, you'd also be able to use their Hoopla and Libby. They would both work together. So if you have that from wherever you said you were from, you'd be able to also use our Libby in conjunction with it. So you'd see their collection and our collection. Yeah.
What's the difference between the two?
The difference between the two, between Hoopla and Libby, the question was, what's the difference between Hoopla and Libby? So hopefully we'll be able to get it on the screen to show everyone, but Hoopla and Libby have separate collections and their user interface is a little bit different. So one thing might be over on the left on one of them, whereas on the other one it's on the bottom right. And that's what we hope to potentially be able to show you. But they do have different collections, different borrowing limits. So if you're interested in just browsing through things, I definitely suggest looking at both. Hoopla would be a little bit more user-friendly a lot of the time because a lot of it is instantly available. Libby, for example, would be more traditional, like you'd imagine a library book. So Libby might have holds lists because we only have the rights to lend out 3 copies at a time, whereas Hoopla, we can lend out however many there are people want to check it out at once. So on Libby, you might run into waiting lists, where on Hoopla, you wouldn't.
Tell us about the book vending machine idea.
Yes, so we have a book vending machine that started out in Davenport. It's exactly what you'd think it would be. It's kind of like a chip vending machine, but we replace the chips with books. You just have to have a library card, you go up and scan it, you make a selection, and then it comes out. It checks out to you for 2 or 3 weeks, pending the title. So right now that is in City Hall, and we're looking for somewhere to move it to. So I had talked with Larry earlier about different places, and he said he'd see about if it would be of interest to potentially have it here. That would also come with a little book return as well. But we are interested in moving it out of City Hall because right now it's not getting the same amount of traffic that it would, and necessarily somewhere more open to the public.
How would you like Westminster Lakeland to be the first to have a book vending machine up in our library or wherever the Residents Council, or at least present it to the Residents Council? That's as an idea. See what you think. Yeah. If we could use it, would you use it? Yeah, we have a wonderful library, but just add that if we can find space for it.
Has new titles, popular titles, all that kind of stuff. We would regularly come, make sure that's filled in so that there's books in each row. And we would regularly be collecting the book return as well, if that pans out, of course. So it looks like they might be making some progress back there. But we will be, I don't know if everyone already has library cards or not, but me and Stephanie brought some iPads to be able to set people up. If you don't have a card, if you do have one and you just need the account number, or if you need just a replacement card, we'll be able to do that too. Carbon saving session. Power off, are you sure?
Question while that's happening.
Yes.
I'm curious, how many books would be in a vending machine?
So it depends. It's 4 books across in each row, and there's about 4 rows depending upon how tall we want to set them, because sometimes, of course, books aren't standard uniform sizes. And then it depends how many we can load. So not to get overly detailed, but the coils are different sizes. So some coils can hold 15 books per row, some can hold 5, some can hold 11. So it depends on if we load a bunch of thick books in there, maybe we have one that's 5 deep, but then the next one is 11. So a lot of books can fit in there. It's just a matter of getting it fully.
So relatively, how many?
If we say 4 across, 4 down, and we say it's an average of 10, that'd be what? So 40 per row potentially, so more than that, yeah. Yeah, so it could potentially, pending the sizes of the books, hold a decent amount.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
I couldn't conceive of that many.
Yeah, yeah, because it's a number of feet deep, so it can, yeah, handle a lot
I
of.
understand you're talking about the thickness of the book.
Mm-hmm, yeah, yeah.
Well, they all paperbacks, or they hardbacks?
Hardbacks, yeah. Everything we have in there right now is hardbacks, yeah. And we can switch if there's a general topic that's of interest. We can try to load that more heavily in there. We can try to load more heavily large print books in there. It can be kind of tailored to what people would be looking for. That way it gets used and is of value.
Jackson, have you ever heard of the little library system?
Yes.
We have one right here on Drain Park. Actually, my wife started it in our old home, and we moved it over here where we live. You can find them all over the world.
Yeah, the free little libraries are, you might see on the side of the road, occasionally on sidewalks. They're essentially big birdhouses, I guess is how I'd describe them, where you can open up the front and it's got a number of books. So generally you take one and put one in and then keep replenishing.
They're all over Lakeland, but I've seen them all over the world.
There's a website that I don't know of right now offhand, but it lists out, if you went through the proper channels, it shows you where they all are.
Yeah. You could point your pointer to anywhere in the world. It'll show you exactly where it is. Town address, if you're registered.
Yep. They've had a number of different people back there.
Back to that original issue. That's one of the main issues. And it's not your problem. Not your problem. You were asking yourself. There we go. Hey. All right.
Here we go. I hit input and then computer was an option below all the HDMIs. Don't worry about resizing it, I think. Just, well, I guess if you just do it with the browser, yeah. Just resize the browser. All right. So we were able to get the website up. So like I was mentioning, me and Stephanie were hoping to show you all a couple of different digital resources that you can do right from home. So we have a few different things. So when Stephanie finishes with that, she's going to go down to, so this is our website, which is listed on the bottom of the front of the pamphlet, lakelandgov.net/library. In my world, it's a lot easier to just go to Google and type Lakeland Public Library and then go from there. But this is the website you'll land on. So she is going to walk us to ebooks and more. And this works on computers, phones, tablets, however you get online, you can go this exact way. If you're using phones and tablets, these resources on the back, particularly Hoopla and Libby, both have apps that are very friendly that you read directly from. But if you just want to do it from a computer or from the browser, you'll be able to do that too. So let's start out with the newspapers. So Stephanie's going to go, to newspapers. And we are going to start with the Ledger. So you'll see we have a few different options down here, but we have the entire Ledger collection. It goes back, depending upon how you want to view it, a number of years, but it does stay current with the same day's paper. So can you click on the Ledger collection, Stephanie? And then it's going to ask for your library card number. It's going to automatically direct you there. And we're in. So if she comes down a little bit on the page, you'll see a few different options for the Ledger. So there's the Ledger 1994 to current, the Ledger 2020 to current, and the Ledger blogs. The one that you would want to use is going to be the second one, the 2020 to current, because it's an image and it's going to be an exact image of the paper. So she'll click that and then she'll be able to pick the date she's looking at. So if she comes down, today is June 3rd, she can click on today's date. And it comes up just like the newspaper normally would. So over on the side, like she just showed, I might be blocking a little bit, you can search through each page, or if you want, up at the top, there's next to where it says page 1 to the left of that, there's ways you can just go through, and then she also just highlighted over further to the right. If it's tough to read, you can zoom in. So zoom in a little, yeah. Yep. Like I said, no charge. You can hop on every day you wanted to. If you forget to look at it for a few days, you can go back however many days you want to look at the different papers. Something, if you're familiar with the Ledger, you might know that they don't publish on Saturdays anymore, but they do actually publish a digital edition. So if you came in through here, they do actually still make a Saturday paper, they just don't print it. So you'd be able to look at that paper up here.
If I was reading that article, it said to go to page 8A.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just look to where it says page 1, drop that menu, and go to 8A.
It's not a perfect system because it doesn't let you say like A6, it just flat lists them in order. So if you were doing something and it said story continues on B4, you'd unfortunately have to either go through one page at a time or do the drop down and try to kind of guess where that would be. But otherwise, over on the side, that you can kind of just barely see, you can scroll through and see it that way too. And you can do that on, like we said, computer, tablet, phone. It just gets tougher to look at on phone because it's a smaller screen, of course, but it works on any of those. Any questions about the Ledger? No? Okay. So we will then go up to Hoopla and Libby. Oh, yes. So Stephanie wants to also point out we have two other options. We have America's News, which has a bunch of different options for news sources. There are other newspapers on there as well. So if you're not local, or if you weren't originally local and you're local now and you're kind of interested and your former area of residence had a newspaper, it might be found in that and you could still browse it similar to the Ledger. You just have to search and see if it's one of the ones that's connected through. We also have New York Times online. That one works a little bit differently. It does make you put in an email address and a password, and it gives you a one-time code to read the paper for that day. You have to do that every day, unfortunately. That's just how that one works. And we did find out recently, although Stephanie might have already been aware, if you back out of that one-time code, it doesn't let you re-access it that day. So for example, if you want to start reading and then you go to do something else and you close that out, it's not going to let you back in that same day with that same email address.
It does. For the New York Times, the subscription includes their cooking, the Athletic, New York Times, and their games sections are all online through that.
Cool. You ready to try ebooks? So we have our two main resources for ebooks are Hoopla and Libby, like we were mentioning, and they have more than ebooks. They have e-audiobooks, they have a few movies, they have some TV shows, they have magazines, and a number of different things. So we just wanted to show you the two interfaces of them, that way you can kind of see what we're talking about with them. So we'll start out with Hoopla. Hoopla does have an app for your phone or tablet, and it lets you just continue reading right in the tablet or phone. And then if you switch to a different device, it'll keep where you were. So if you, for example, are at an appointment and you read for a while on your phone, but you normally read on your tablet, you can go back home, read on your tablet exactly where you left off. So Stephanie's just logging into her account. to show you kind of how it looks. Yes. So right here we have our landing page. It'll tell you different stuff, but this is also where you can browse, see things you've borrowed recently, see recommendations based on what you've looked at, what you've borrowed before. If there's particular authors or titles that you're interested in, you're able to just search directly for those right at the top search. Or if you want to browse to try to find something new, there's an option as well. So she just clicked on where it says browse. So we have audiobooks on there, we have comics, we have ebooks, movies, music, television, and binge passes. Binge passes are where you'd find like collections of things. So for example, this is where you could find a binge pass for different magazines. If you notice down there, if you're able to see, there's one for Hallmark movies. They have just a bunch of different stuff. There's one called Curiosity that has different lessons about different things. And this counts as one checkout, and you get it for most of the time about a week, and it covers a variety of different topics. Otherwise, can you open up a book, Stephanie? Do you have a book borrowed? So she is going to open up one of the items she has borrowed. Can you do, yep, yeah, do that one, Stephanie. So you'll be able to click through. Are you able to get to where you can adjust font size, Stephanie? So you'll see there's different options. If she goes a little bit further into the book, you'll see so she's able to adjust whether you don't like the color, if you need it to not be as white, you're able to adjust that. Otherwise, you can adjust the text size, and it will go pretty big to where if you have like an iPad, for example, it would be just a few words on the iPad. That way you can easily read them and go through. And it just takes it a few minutes to calculate the size and how far into the book you are. But you can see you can turn down the brightness of the screen if it's too bright. If you need it to be a dark theme, that way it might be easier on your eyes. It's able to do that. And then it's also able to adjust kind of the different, how you would view. Does anyone, so it's just doing this while it's trying to calculate the font size and everything. Does anyone have questions about Hoopla?
Could you just go back to the beginning and show exactly how you get into it?
Oh, sure. Can you go back to the landing page, Stephanie? So this is after Stephanie was logged in. So if you've never been logged in before, can you log out, Stephanie? So if you've never been logged in, you'll come up to this one and it'll give you an option to say get started. It's going to tell you all of this nice stuff that it's free, you need a library card and an email address. So this is where then you'd pick where. This is where you could get the app if you're doing it on your phone, or if you're doing it online, you could do it too this way. This is just registering for the account. So you have technically an account on Hoopla's website with your email address, and then you get access through the library. So you make your account by searching for Lakeland Public Library, unless you have location services on, and then she can, if she'll hit Lakeland Public Library.
This is what the, I know it's small, this is what it looks like. Just touch that, right straight. You see all the books.
Yeah, so he has the app on his phone already. So in your phone's app store, your iPad's app store, your tablet's app store, you just search for Hoopla, then you'd register for an account. So at this point, we don't have a card, we haven't registered yet, but this is where Stephanie would add in a library card and the PIN, which we can also give you if you need. And then after this, it's gonna ask for your email and your password. And then after that, you'll have your account.
You use the same thing you use for your electric.
Yep. Yeah, and if you need that, we can look it up as well.
Didn't we miss something to get at the very beginning? Don't we have to put in there something about Lakeland Library?
Yeah, so if Stephanie goes back a couple of steps, that's going to be, yeah, I think that's step 1 of 4. Okay, so no, it's step 2. Yeah, so this is where, yeah, and this is where if you have location services, it would know, but otherwise you might have to search for Lakeland. So we found Hoopla on the library's website originally, is then where we linked out to this. So we got to Hoopla through the library's website, if that's what you mean. Yep, yeah, so we were on our library website, went to Hoopla, and then that's where we then register for the account on their website. Yeah. Any other questions about Hoopla?
Did you mention the audiobooks as well?
Yes, so we can go back. She'll have to log back in. So we have ebooks like we were just talking about, and then we have e-audiobooks. So you'd be able to listen to it right from your device, whether you're streaming it from your phone or from your tablet. You have earbuds in, headphones on. You're able to listen to the book right then. You have instant access as well. So Stephanie has a different one borrowed called The Lost Bookshop. She searched for that one and found it, and then is able to just listen to it. On the app, it'll give you some options for rewinding for a few seconds, pausing, skipping forward. If you see also, you can listen to it at a faster speed or slower speed if you want. Or you can jump through the different chapters. Any other questions about Hoopla? Something that I don't think we mentioned in the beginning is you don't have to worry about returning items that you borrow digitally. They return automatically after their loan period is up. So for example, on Stephanie's, if she goes down a little bit, it'll tell you it returns automatically on Monday, June 24th, and it'll tell you the exact time. So you don't have to worry about if you accidentally have it out too long or anything like that. All of the 3 Lakeland libraries, we don't charge late fees for items anymore, and a number of libraries around the county do the same, but there are still a few that if you're a few days late, they'll charge you whether it's 10 cents, 25 cents, or 50 cents, but none of the Lakeland libraries do that anymore.
Jackson, go ahead.
What if you want to say, oh, I need it 2 more days?
You're able to renew it, but that will count for another checkout. So the question was, what if you need it for a few extra days? You're able to renew it. It'll give you that option closer to time because it doesn't want you to waste a checkout too early because it will only bump you up from that day. The 3 weeks, items on Hoopla check out for 3 weeks at a time. So if you were to try to renew it the next day, it would only give you an extra day. So they usually will want you to wait until closer to time to renew.
Jackson, did you mention anything about the interlibrary loan, or let's say even around Polk County that you don't have a certain book? My wife Trudy borrows a lot of books from interlibrary loan. Sometimes they'll come out of state. It takes a while, but they do come in. So
we have...
Potentially you have unlimited access.
So we don't do out of the state anymore as of a little bit ago. We do have interlibrary loan for physical materials. Interlibrary loan just comes from outside of the county. Most of the libraries in the state work together through a system called Flynn Share It, where we can put in a request for a book, and then a different library from outside of the county will choose to send it or not send it, and then a different one can send it. So for example, if something's in Jacksonville and you want it, we can request it from Jacksonville, and we'll see if they send it here. Once again, there's no charge for any of that. You just have to request it, and it does generally take a little bit longer, at least a couple of weeks most of the time to get those in, because it's multiple systems working together. And then we have the option for around the county, like I think we had mentioned, where if you see something in Lake Wales that we don't have here, we can get that sent in. It usually only takes a few days. Let's go to Libby, Stephanie, Libby and Overdrive. So our other one that we wanted to talk about is Overdrive. You'll hear me call it Libby interchangeably because that's the name of the app now. The company is Overdrive, but the name of the app that they put out is called Libby. And Libby just has a different collection of books and works a little bit different. So first time on there, it's going to ask you if you want to sign up for an instant card or if you already have a card. So Stephanie already has a card, so she's just going to sign in like normal. If you've never logged in, it will ask you for a little bit more information. It should ask you to find your library again. So you'd search for Lakeland, and it'll say Polk County Library Cooperative. You'll select that, and then you'll enter your card info. And then, just like Hoopla, you're able to browse ebooks, audiobooks, magazines, that kind of stuff. Libby, like we mentioned, Libby Overdrive, they might have waiting lists just because that's how that system works as opposed to Hoopla. So you might wait, for example, for a few weeks, for a few days, for a month if there's only a limited number of copies. So all the ones right here that Stephanie has up, you'll see that it says place a hold, and it'll put you in line like you would for a normal physical book that might have a holds list. So yeah, she pointed out that the one over on the right, the Paris novel, so it's hard to see potentially, but on the tops it says wait list for most of them, but on the one on the far right it says on hold, so she knows she has that on hold. She's also able to see that if she goes to her bookshelf, which you can go to if she goes up a little bit, it's gonna be that set of 3 books right there, and that'll take her to what she has borrowed out, what she has on hold, all of that kind of stuff. If you need more time on a book on Libby, if there's no one waiting, it will let you renew and it won't use another checkout. So for example, if you borrow a book for 2 weeks and you're almost done, you're able to renew that and it won't charge you another checkout. Okay, yeah, you can open it. And the interface is going to be a little bit different than it would be on Hoopla, but it's still going to be kind of reading, and you can adjust the font size. If you need to adjust kind of the backlighting, you're able to do that too. And with Overdrive and Libby, if you have a Kindle, it works really well on those. Does anyone have any questions? Yes.
It used to be that there was only one copy of the ebooks.
Mm-hmm.
Is that still the same?
So on Libby, sometimes there's only one, on the Libby Overdrive, sometimes there's only one copy, sometimes we pay for multiple copies. That's just how that subscription works. So for example, we might own like a popular book, like a new James Patterson or something, for example. We might purchase 5 copies of it to be able to lend out simultaneously. Other ones, we might only purchase 1 to be able to lend out, and it might start to get a list. That's just how the rights would work on that, yeah. Any other questions about our digital?
Can we take a look at the one magazines for Flipster?
Sure. Flipster has a limited selection. Can we, Stephanie, real quick? Well, we'll do Flipster first, and then we'll go back to Hoopla. So Flipster, we have, how many do we subscribe to right now, Stephanie? 4 through Flipster. It's going to be Consumer Reports, and then a couple more popular ones that we'll see in just a second once she gets logged in. So we have, are those the 4, Stephanie? So we have one called Prevention, we have Better Home Than Gardens, Consumer Reports, and All Recipes. So can you open a Consumer Reports, Stephanie? So we have the current one, or you have the back issues if you're looking for a particular back issue. If you're familiar with Consumer Reports, they only do certain appliances and products per each magazine. So it might tell you if you're looking for washing machines that you need to go back to February of 23 to find their most recent one. So you'd be able to go back and look at the previous ones through this. Once again, since it's a different service, it's gonna move through a little bit differently. You can zoom in, you can go from side to side and see what you're looking for. If you're looking for magazines other than these four, Hoopla is gonna be the way to go. Can you go back to, yep, thank you. So this is gonna be in the binge passes. They have one for magazines, and it will check out for 1 week at a time, and it'll count as one checkout. And it will be, I forget how many magazines are in it. So it says flip through recent digital issues of your favorite magazines like US Weekly, Good Housekeeping, Prevention, Cosmopolitan, Reader's Digest, In Touch, Time, and more. So this one has more of the popular magazines that would be better for browsing. And this is through Hoopla's binge passes. It will count as a checkout, but it'll only count as one. And it has a number of different magazines that you'd be able to look at while it's checked out. And that'll work on computer or tablet or phone. Any questions about Libby, Hoopla, Flipster, Ledger? Do you have anything you want to add, Stephanie? Okay, so that is the information that we wanted to share with you all today. We are, if anyone's interested, we brought some iPads, like I said, that way we can look up information on your account if you need to update information. If you just need a card, you've never had one, we can do that. If you need a new card, we can do that. We can do all that right here today. What was it? Yes, we can look up your PIN as well. Because
Who here does not have a library card and would like to have one? So Jackson and Stephanie are here to solve that little problem.
Yes.
Never too late to get one.
We can look up PINs as well if you need it, or any other questions you have as well.
How do you get the card? You'd like to get a card? Okay.
If you've never had one, we can make it for you. We can make it for you right here. Most of the time we'd need photo ID. If you didn't bring that with you right here, we can figure out a way to still make one.
Pena and
I think you have an announcement, Larry, that wants to be made. I can either, yeah, I can either look up the number if you want.
Is this card still good? I have one of those. Yeah, I have one. Yeah, but you swipe it. Well, go ahead. Oh. Ray? Ray has just downloaded from Carol Van Toren that we have a positive case of COVID on campus. Please take care in extra hand washing, wearing a mask if you have any symptoms. Also call Katie. Okay. We have a positive case of COVID on campus, an IL/RL resident. Please take care in extra hand washing, wearing a mask if you have any symptoms. Also call Katie. Thank you. This is from Carol Van Toren. Okay. All right. So, we're done, and we want to thank our presenters. Jackson and Stephanie, you've done a great job in the midst of all our confusion. And we want to present you something that you and Stephanie can share and enjoy. Yeah, you bet. That's not for the library, that's for you guys. All right. Yes. If you want to linger and hang out with Stephanie and Jackson. All right. We'll see you in 3 weeks. 2 weeks, the 17th. And remember, we take a vacation until September, and I quit. Well, they're scattering like cats right now. The what again? Oh, thank you. 25. Yeah, I will. Thank you.